Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Amy McDevitt, and welcome to Dumroo.ai's second podcast. We are extremely excited to be here, and we're so glad that you can join us this evening. So, what I'd like to do as the moderator, I am the Vice President of Sales with Dumroo, and I'd like to go around this evening and do some introductions, and then we will go right into the content for this podcast. The name of the podcast is Personalized Learning versus Standardized Systems, and can AI bridge that gap? So let's go ahead and start with introductions with Lisa.
Thanks, Amy. I am Lisa Perry, a pre-K-12 principal, an AP Lang and Com teacher, an associate professor, and a TEDx speaker. And I'm delighted to be a part of the Dumroo team and get this idea all over the place. We've got a really cool thing going on here.
Thank you so much. Alok.
Hi, guys. My name is Alok Rai. I'm the founder and CEO of Dumroo.ai, which is an AI-first edtech platform. And we are here to talk about a really important topic. And I think that when we are envisioning the Dumroo.ai platform, this is one of the core things that we discussed and brainstormed a lot. So really excited to be part of this podcast today.
Great, thank you. Savia.
Hi, I'm Savia Rai, and I'm the co-founder and CFO of Dumroo.ai. I'm really excited to be here, and especially the topic of today's podcast is really close to my heart. So I'm really excited. Let's bring it on.
Thank you so much. And we have a new guest this evening. Johnny, please introduce yourself and welcome.
Hey, thank you. And you know what, guys, it's really good to have met you guys. I think we're going to have a really good time in the world of AI. My name is Johnny Villani, and I've been a special education educator pretty much all my life. For 26 years in the classroom, I've been personalizing instruction, differentiating instruction to meet individual needs. And now that we have Dumroo, this can actually be done all across schools, all across grades, all across general ed, special ed, and everywhere around the world. I'm excited to be a part of this, and I'm excited to bring my special education experience and expertise into this world.
Thank you so much. We're very, very glad to have you and looking forward to the conversation. So with that being said, let's go ahead. I'm going to start with the first question and leave it to our panel to start the discussion. The first question is, what are the biggest barriers to personalized instruction in today's classrooms? Who would like to begin?
Pick me.
Go right ahead.
Go for it, Johnny.
You know, you guys, I think that, time constraints for teachers are big. When you personalize instruction in special education, you really only have a certain amount of students. You have 28 on your caseload in California. Okay, it's not too hard if you're really into what you're doing to personalize instruction when you know their learning styles as students, you know their personality, you know what they like to do. Okay, but that's 28 students for one teacher. Okay, but what I think that the challenges have been for personalized instruction are not only time constraints, but real-time data, because teachers will take data, put them in a file, and continue to go on and get busy and go here, go there, start a new lesson that may appear to be engaging to some other students and maybe not others, and they kind of leave students left behind. Mm-hmm. Whereas personalizing instruction takes away inadequate technology. It takes away the one-size-fits-all model that's been keeping personalized instruction away. Okay, and the other problem I see is the equity gap. Mm. The equity gap needs to be something that we really focus on as we continue to build these tools in AI.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share?
You know, I'm so glad Johnny is on here as a special education teacher, because as somebody who is in that world, and as he mentioned, the unique and the individual needs of his students, he really does understand, because he's been immersed in this for a long time, those needs. And what's interesting to me as somebody who's spent more of my life in gen ed is, as he said, gen ed kids have also their own interests, their own levels of performance. Sometimes students don't qualify for special education for a variety of reasons. They may actually really need that assistance, but the testing doesn't show it. And so we've got kids in mainstream gen ed classrooms who would very much benefit from content at a level of rigor that's appropriate to them. And the time, as he said, 20, 30 kids, somebody's interested in this, somebody's reading at a 3rd grade level, somebody's reading at an 11th grade level. And, you know, one thing that we've done, I think, is we teach to the middle, because we don't know what else to do. And so the high flyers, they're just over there, like, counting the ceiling tiles, right? Waiting for the clock to, and the students who are struggling with the content, they're checked out too. But we've just been focusing on this middle 60% and totally disregarding these upper and level. And gifted programs have gone away. Special education programs have been cut. Funds have been cut there. We may see more of that soon. And so we're going to see maybe even more of students with a wide variety of interests and abilities in one space. And it would be a shame to continue to teach to the middle when we don't have to anymore. You know, there was a time when it felt like that's all you could do. You can't say that anymore, because now there is a solution. And so if you're going to continue to teach to the middle, that's a choice. That's not a circumstance beyond your control. That is a choice that you're going to make every day.
Yeah, yeah. And I think another challenge I can think of at the moment is many schools, they have they still have like lack of resources and support system that will help teachers and administration staff to kind of like make personalization even easier for them. Integration of technology is still struggles in many of the school districts, as I know. And on top of that, insufficient professional development is another, kind of like a barrier at the moment I can think of, which is hindering differentiation strategies for the teachers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Savia. I think that based on what we're doing this evening, what's also important is if we can gather information from our audience in terms of teachers and board members, superintendents, school districts, any information or questions that they have, we're happy to address them as well. So if you'd like to take the time this evening to address questions in our chat, or you can always email us, and we're happy to assist in that capacity as well. Let's go ahead and move on to the second question, which is, how can AI enhance differentiated learning while keeping teachers in control? Who would like to begin?
I'm always the guy that's going to jump in, but I don't want to be the leader all the time here. Okay, that's kind of the way I do the classroom. But let me go ahead and jump in on this one, and then Lisa, jump in on the next one here first, will you? Okay, so I tell you what, you guys, ask that question again. Sorry about that. Ask that question again. I got sidetracked. Go ahead.
That's all right. How can AI enhance differentiated learning while keeping teachers in control?
Teachers are the architects. They're the architects of the classroom. The teachers can't go away. There's the relationship building. There's all of that. The relationship building is probably one of the most important. There's the SEL instruction, social emotional learning, which teachers have to continue to work on with their students. So the students are ethically and responsibly prompting into AI. But Lisa, help me out a little bit with this.
Well, I think the way Alok has done it and the way it needs to be done is the teachers are the editors. I was a journalism teacher for a lot of years, and that the kids would make decisions about what to put in a story or where to put a picture, what the caption would be. But in the end, I had to look at that and I had to approve that before it went out into the paper. And I think the same thing is happening here in this situation where the teacher gets to decide, and Alok will be able to discuss, the particulars of this a little bit better, but it isn't just, handing the computer over to the kid and giving the kid a website and saying, off you go, this is going to give you what you need. This is the teacher inputting, getting feedback, redirecting. So last time I talked about, as an admin, I have an admin assistant, and as a teacher, I don't have any assistant whatsoever. And that leveling of the playing field, because it gets to be very, very difficult to meet everybody's needs as a leader, which is why I've got Kelsey to help me. But in the classroom, I don't. That's what this can do, but at my direction. Alok, would you
Yes,
elaborate on that?
I would love to. Um, so the way the AI can help in the classroom, there are many folds, right? The it can generate um, lesson plans. It can generate assessments, quizzes. Uh, it can give one of the constant today, and is a continuation of the previous question that teachers have, is they don't have access to the data about students real time to
Yeah,
be
that's true.
objective about their approach for teaching any student or creating differentiation for um, tier one, tier two, tier three, or personalization for them. So what AI can do, or at least what the philosophy that we followed at Dumroo.ai was to provide that data insight in real time. And using that, the teacher can guide the AI how they want their learning plan to be, or they can just use the AI to build it uh, like by default, and then teacher will take that and make sure that they agree with that strategy. Uh, so the control of the whatever AI generates is in teachers hand, and only when they approve it, they should be now published to the students so they can engage with that. There is never a point where AI is like pushing the content to the students directly, because that's not the right way of going about it. Teachers know the students best. AI is only there to take some of the admin overhead away and give them that real-time data that will make them more effective in creating more personalized content and learning plan for them.
Not only real time data, but I also think about organized and connected data. And I think in metaphors as an English teacher. I had 3 kids in my house at one point: my husband's clothes, my clothes, the kids' clothes. If they were just all spread out all over the house, it would be very difficult to get out in the morning and get to school on time. But I took my son's clothes. Here go the socks. Here go the t-shirts. Here go the jeans. And so you need organization. I've got a silverware drawer with forks and knives and spoons, and so you're not digging all around in there. That to me is so helpful, because I have difficulty sometimes bringing those things together and making those components make sense up against one another. And the fact that it's real time and we're getting data from different sources, and it's putting it together in a way that I can get some meaning from without chasing this. You can't believe how many binders I've got in this office full of numbers and graphs and pie charts, and they all live separately, and every once in a while they come together and then they go back apart again, and that is not. And again, I said this last week: people are good at relationships, computers are good at data.
Bingo.
So why are we not using these darn things for data so that we can use ourselves, our energy, our expertise to pour into people? Let the data have the paperwork. I want the people work.
And I
You're,
think
you're,
it's a
you're,
Right, right.
it's a
let me jump in here. You're so right about that. And there are so many different teaching styles out there that this Dumroo offers a teacher an ability to not only use their teaching style, but to learn from others. To learn from others, because it just continues to build more and more and more teacher likeness and their adaptive learning paths that they're using, and it brings that all together. I've seen it. I've asked the question, how can I reach this particular student? I've tried one, two, three, four, and five different ways, and AI gives me the answer. At least gives me some more strategies that I might not have been thinking about, or that another teacher has already used. And so this platform offers the ability for collaboration amongst engagement. Collaboration brings out more engagement because not there's no one teacher that can be able to reach each and every student. But this platform gives us equity in being able to get the resources and strategies to reach each and every student and to individualize their education plan.
I
Right,
think
Johnny, you
that
said it.
I
You said it. I think, yes,
yeah,
collaboration brings out
Absolutely.
I
engagement.
think that we like both Lisa and Johnny have shared very important insight. Regarding data, data is not understood well by people. They think that they're gonna get some numbers from an assessment or somewhere, and it will magically tell them what to do. But data has its own journey, its own life cycle.
Yeah.
So it has to go through certain um, steps, and we have picture in our in Dumroo office. It says that the data is like Lego pieces all like jumbled together. It's like a big pile of data. Now that's not useful, right?
Mhm.
From there it become we have to sort them. So we have sorted pieces of Legos, right? Okay, now you arrange them so that you are able to now make some sense. Okay, what is happening, and then you make it visually presentable. So now, okay, it's telling graphs, bars, a bar chart, pie chart. But then the teacher comes into play and take that visualization and 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 tell a story about each at that student, and that's what makes data beautiful and useful, right? So 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 it's a journey that AI can help us make it efficient, and from point A to like step one to step four, it can help you get there like this, but the final step is still the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. And I think based on the last question, Johnny mentioned that the teachers themselves are the architect,
Oh,
and Lisa mentioned the fact that obviously, there needs to be structure, right? Everything needs to be in a certain place at a certain time, serving a certain purpose in that regard. And then Aluk mentioned how Dumroo AI can assist in that capacity. A great segue into this next question for the panel. It is, how does Dumroo AI adapt to different teaching styles while aligning with curriculum goals?
All right. I'm going to start there. So, um, let me answer by saying this. When we built our platform, first we built it more like a system that can help teacher in everything.
Mhm.
Now, then we realized that I don't, that's not how teachers going to engage with the platform, because they don't want to learn the entire thing and start using everything.
Yeah.
So our thought was, how can we create this journey for the teacher where they start small and then they basically expand from that initial learning. So what's going to happen is this, and there's the first app that we created, which a micro app, is called Content AI, and this is the easiest way to get on to learning about AI and use AI power immediately. It's like a low hanging fruit for the teachers. Why? Because these are predefined agents which are designed to do a specific thing, right? So teachers are going to use based on their learning style. So it could be direct instruction, it could be project based learning, it could be inquiry based, right? So those agents are defined already, and they can go in there and they're gonna say, all right, let me just create that content for that kind of my teaching style. But what's going to happen is, as they get more used to this thing, they're going to jump into something we create called a personal teaching assistant. We call it Rubu AI. And what's going to happen is, as they start interacting with it, the AI is going to learn about teacher personal style of learning. And it will not be a specific one. It won't be a direct instruction or project-based learning. It will be their own personalized teaching style, right? And typically that's what we need in the classroom. You don't need just this one. You need, like, based on the activity, based on what your pedagogical goal is that day, you might have to change, adjust those teaching styles. And that's what Rubu AI can really help, because it's learning teacher style, teacher habits, teacher behavior as well. So it's not only personalized learning for the student, but it's also personalized teaching style creation for the teachers as well. So that's I think I'm also very excited about in helping teacher being more effective in their own teaching style and adaptive as per the
Yes,
need.
right. Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, we actually, okay. So yeah, we design this keeping in our teachers in mind, right? And we wanted to make sure that it doesn't impose a certain methodology of teaching to the teacher. Instead, it should provide, as Alok sir mentioned, that it should be adaptable to the teacher's natural style. And the best part is that our platform is customizable. So teachers, they can set their own parameters. They can make sure that everything is aligned according to the district's curriculum, their goals, or student needs, or the pacing guide that they follow. So that's another big important feature of our platform at the moment. So once you get onto the platform, you'll be able to learn more.
Yes.
I'm getting ready for a speech at a tech conference, and one of the things I'm going to talk about is change management. Because in corporate, there are change managers, and in K-12, there are emails. Like, you're going to do this now. I wish that was an exaggeration, but it's quite true. And so what I think is really nice about this is that I can say to an educator, okay, yes, we're going to adopt a new platform, but here's what's not going to change: the way you teach. Because so often a new product, a new, all the new bells and whistles, it feels like it's trying to take you out of the classroom. And one of the things I think is really important to do when you're going to undergo a big change is just to remind people what will remain the same, because we have to get our bearings somehow. And when everything changes, it's just, it's like a whirlwind. Yeah. So here we are saying, yes, this platform, but you're still teaching, you're still driving, your students are still learning the way that you intended, they're still doing the content that you want them to do. And so I think that is so soothing, so reassuring, because so often somebody just drops a new pile of books on us and says, okay, this is the new curriculum. I've had it happen way too many times. And so I like that I will still be me.
You guys, we've got a real dilemma in classrooms, especially across special education, where we just don't have enough paraprofessionals, call them assistants, okay? Yeah. And yet, I always get general ed teachers coming to me saying, hey, can I borrow your paraprofessional, or can you come in and assist, and can you do that? Hey, guess what? You've got a personal assistant now. You've got one, no matter who you are, how fast you're going in this curriculum, that stinking pacing guide, or whatever you're doing, you've got an assistant to guide you along the way, fill gaps, back you up, move you forward, and collaborate with you. Because some students might not jive with that teacher or that partner they have next to them in the classroom. But this generation, they go right to their phone. They go to technology. So it's going to be so easy to train these teachers to say, hey, listen, once you get out your personal assistant right now, dive into some research, do some fact checking, think about your thinking, and let's move forward. And then the teacher gets a chance to, maybe go to a student that's maybe having a little tough day emotionally or whatsoever. But AI, this program, Dumroo, you guys have brought a personal assistant to everybody who wants it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
One thing I was thinking about when he was talking there was when you have students with individual needs, sometimes those students require an adult with them all day. And I don't care how well those two get along. At some point, you just need some space from this human being. And let's say it is conflicted, which sometimes it is. The paraprofessional is like trying to get some productivity here, and the kid is pushing back, and and emotions can come into that. This is a good way to pivot without losing time, without losing any of the opportunities for instruction. We're going to move to this for a while, so then you can do you, I can do me, and then we can come back together and we can talk about that. And I think that that can be really helpful too, because while education is and absolutely must remain a relationship based space, it also needs to provide space for people to step away from each other once in a while. And if I'm going to give my kids 20 minutes, I need to know that that's not going to be frittered away. Because I always say this, I can find ways to make more money. I cannot get more time. I have 176 days, 50 minutes a day. I'm going to use every stinking minute. So if I got to turn something over, I want to know that those 20 minutes are going to be valuable because I can't afford to waste them. This provides that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa, and everyone on the panel. And as we've been speaking about, obviously, the teacher's role is imperative, right, in bringing Dumroo AI into the classroom and being able to utilize it. So that brings us to the next question, which is about the students. What role should students play in shaping their own AI-driven learning paths? Who would like to begin?
I got it. Okay. I like to jump in, you guys. Have you noticed that? But listen, students have got to control. I call it an ACE. I spend a lot of time with students on this. We as human beings have to control our attitude, our choices, and efforts in life. And when we're prompting, that's your ACE, okay? But when we're prompting into AI, you got to be in control of that stuff. You know, teachers have got to continue to teach how to be in control of what you're doing to get from a means to an end. Students need to be trained on not only how to use AI, how to interpret AI, to interpret it, how to fact check it, okay, how to relate with it. They also need to be taught stuff like how to be kind to each other still, and how to move forward in life when they have challenges in front of them. But how do students control this is the question. They've got to be taught this. This is a new space, and it gives teachers a chance to dive into teaching how to use AI and to be ethically responsible when you're doing it. And just think about what kind of parallel lessons you get from that, or alternative lessons you get out of that. They're hearing you say, when I'm telling students, hey, be in control of your attitude, choices, and efforts while you're prompting or while you're writing, they have to think about what they're thinking about, right? And thinking about your thinking is very important in education, and especially important with this new applications and new platforms of AI.
I think a lot about goal setting.
Yeah.
It's track season here in South Dakota, and we've got kids who have a team goal, get to the state meet, place as a team. But every one of those students has an individual, every one of those athletes has an individual goal. And that isn't, the track coach doesn't walk by and say, here's your goal, here's your goal, here's your goal. The track coach says, what's your goal? Have a goal. Put your goal on a sticky note. Put it on your mirror. Look at it every morning. When we decide what people's end game is, they're not nearly as motivated as they are when they say, this is what I want to achieve.
That's right.
And when we give kids that kind of autonomy, sometimes at first they'll kind of dog it a little bit, see what they can get away with. But when they're working with something that they understand is student friendly and is designed for them, then they start to see how much they can push themselves. And you know what's really cool? When they push themselves further than you thought you could have, so you would not have. And those are such fantastic moments. But they need to set their own goals. And as Johnny said, just metacognition, thinking about your thinking, and why you arrived at the conclusion you did, why you completed the project that you did. And I think when you take away some of the other heavy lifting that comes in lesson plans and assessments, then there's more time to be thinking about your thinking. Instead, all the busy work. I mean, sometimes teachers are just doing things to keep people busy, and I've been guilty of that myself. when you can kind of get rid of that, you can kind of separate the wheat from the chaff, and you can get the good stuff. Kids understand that they're not just doing something to do something; they're doing something that matters, and then they start thinking about that, and that too is a motivator for their learning.
That's teaching smarter. That's not teaching harder. I love it.
I think what I would like to add to that is when I think about students engaging with AI, uh, I think about across the spectrum, like like the elementary school, middle school, and high school, and each one of them will engage them differently, right? So, so I think that in the beginning, the teachers are going to drive this thing because they're going to have some work for them to do, um, and I think as Johnny said, there should be some learning for the students as well. That there's some activities which are added to the curriculum. That is how to use AI, effectively or ethically. As they start engaging with the AI, and they are now able to give feedback or reflect, right, on things. Initially, the goals might be defined by the teacher, but as they start giving feedback to the AI, and again, this is the reason why we need to be cognizant of how that interaction is happening. So, is it going through typing, or is it going to be through a voice AI, which is also has uh, emotional um, setting to it, so that the student can engage with that AI. And as they're working, that's as Lisa said, they're going to dog it a little bit in the beginning. I don't want to use this thing, but I think as they see the value of it, as they see that it's actually in my control it more than the other people or teacher or parents, the trust will be built, and that trust, uh, that's where you're going to start opening up, and that's where AI can really be effective, because now the AI would know student beyond just the score in an exam, right? So I think it's going to be a journey that we all have to embark on, as well as our students, to really like start using AI more effectively. And as this group here, I think it's our responsibility to make sure that engagement is ethical, is appropriate, um, and I think Johnny brought another point was like, how can we also make AI interaction or student entertainment AI also kind? So they're learning, like
Yeah.
they should be learning how to be kind with AI so that they can learn to be kind in general. So
Yes.
I think it's a journey that we all are embarking on, and I think we have to be uh, just careful and be mindful of how we're gonna set the stage for the students at this early age.
This generation, you guys, they trust technology.
Technology.
It's the timing is so right. They trust it, and they trust teachers too. But some may have had an experience with a teacher that might have looked like their new teacher, and they bring that back. You can't do that with AI. AI starts off, it's fresh. It's an assistant. And the magic that happens when human insight and AI work together to honor each student's learning journey is what all this is all about, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And
Um,
Johnny, I know you mentioned earlier about special education. I wanted to pose this question to you first next, and it is, how can AI help struggling students without stigmatizing them?
You know what? I think the best answer to that is it gives them a chance to back up and move forward when they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not when they're pushed to. Because a lot of times, especially in a general ed classroom, I've co-taught in a lot of them. A teacher will go to a special education student with a question, and that student just may need to process a little longer, but that teacher doesn't really know that about that student. Okay,
Yeah.
so does that help answer that question?
Yeah.
I believe so. Would anyone else like to share as well?
Yeah, I would like
I
to take care of the first portion of the question, like how AI can help struggling students. And I'm really proud to share with everyone here that our platform has an amazing tool inbuilt with that can monitor students' progress behind the scene. Why? like depending on their engagement and observation, AI can actually figure out and see how where the student is struggling, and it can then offer like tailored and supporting material to the student. Apart from that, there is a very important and impressive feature that our platform has, and maybe Alok can talk in depth about this particular feature, and that is AI Tutor. AI Tutor basically helps students with their assignments, homework, and whatnot. You name it, and you have it. Um, I want to take everybody back to the memory lane wherein, when we were students, if we zoom out in the classroom and we are not able to follow through the lesson in or the concept in the classroom, what we end up doing, like not finishing our homework and kind of like struggle with that topic, right? And then we have to wait for maybe 12, 13, 14 hours till the time we go back to school and then discuss with the teacher, only if teacher has enough time to spend with what if there are like 30, 40 students who are waiting for help, right? Look here, with our tool, AI Tutor, not only a student will be able to get help then and there, but also it's going to give examples, illustrations, and explain you to reconfirm the concept at the moment when you are actually doing your homework or assignment, or for any reason, like you can ask multiple questions, you can ask anything related to your workspace to this AI tutor, and it's going to provide you the answers, which you don't have to wait for going back to school and wait for another day or so to figure out the answer or figure out the concept. So that's very impressive. And maybe Alok, you can talk more about like how AI tutor could be helpful.
Um, yes, I think that the um, AI tutor can, and I think that I would like to answer it in a different way. It's not only for struggling students. If for students who are actually ahead in the game, right? So who wants to be challenged more? So for them, the homework that they get from the school, what's going on in the classroom, as Lisa mentioned, sometimes teacher is teaching for the average, the middle average, 60%. But what about the one who are ahead in the game? So
Yeah.
it helps in both the extreme end of the spectrum, right? The high performing and the struggling, both of them. So it can adapt. You can ask the AI tutor to challenge them with more difficult questions, or give them more um, challenging questions or problems to solve. Um, so that's the AI tutor that can help. But I think that it's the like philosophically, I think when we were thinking about this thing, um, it's the proactiveness of identifying the challenge and fixing and course correction. I call it that in the learning journey. So uh, typically, it's a reactive measure, right? Oh, they scored so badly in the midterm or in the final. They're failing the grades, and then you come up with a plan, and that's where the stigmatism come, right? Because now they're like, oh, these are low performing students. These are tier 3 students, right? AI gives them that capability that that first of all, teacher can it can identify that if somebody is struggling going in downward trajectory, it can identify that and course correct that right away. It can give the tools and the data and the personalized lesson plan to the teacher so they can correct it before it becomes a like a tier 3 student, right? Somebody becomes a tier 3 student. um, and um, and I think that it's just normalize it, and then they have their themselves. They can engage with the AI tutor, as Savia was saying. If I know I'm struggling in this particular topic or concept, I have and I'm a little shy, or I don't want to go out there and ask a question in the classroom because I don't know the answer. I
Yeah.
can ask that in a private space, and when nobody else is looking at you, to the AI, and ask that question and ask for help. So I think these are the ways I think that creates a more constructive environment for students to feel comfortable and just embark on their own personal improvement journey.
Yeah,
You
thank
know,
you so much.
You guys, let me add a little bit more to that special education, if I may, Amy. You know,
Yes.
special education is all a good special education teacher. Data drives instruction. Okay, and it takes a long time to look at data, because you're in the moment with the student, you're teaching with or group or individual student, but the data that you're getting drives you as a teacher to either back up or go forward. Okay, this is real time data. This is not only
Yeah.
giving you the real time data so you don't have to go through all your paperwork and check boxes and organize it, but it groups students, the higher level students. It can group them for you. It can say, hey, these students are at this part of the unit. They need to move forward together. It can say these students need intervention, and it gives ideas on how to do that. Um, if we think about the world of social promotion as it's gone, some students will go from fifth to sixth to seventh to eighth grade, and they didn't really understand the sixth grade math, right? But they go to seventh grade. Now it's seventh grade math. You better be ready to go. Where this Dumroo comes in, and this tutoring platform comes in, is it allows that student to go back to where they are in the learning process, and then the learning journey goes positive for them. Because learned helplessness, Lisa, you know this. Learned helplessness is a real thing, and once a kid starts to learn to them in their self that they're helpless and they're not good at something, they shut off the learning opportunity. Do you agree, Lisa?
I do, and one thing I notice with kids is sometimes they haven't for so long that now they can't. And math especially is true. If you don't know fractions and you didn't learn them when you were supposed to because you were just kind of sitting there uninspired and uninterested, now you're using those as part of a bigger math problem, and now you can't. It isn't resistance on your part. It's inability on your part. It's ignorance on your part because you didn't pay attention before. And that just continues to snowball. And so I think a lot of times younger kids are won'ts and older kids are can'ts because they were won'ts for so long. And back to just the stigmatization. When I was young, which is a long time ago, I remember we had red bird reading groups and blue bird reading groups and yellow bird reading groups. And the teachers thought they were so clever, and everybody knew that the blue birds knew what was going on and that the yellow birds had no idea. And it was just very public. It was very public. And bluebirds were happy, red birds were ambivalent, and the yellow birds were mad. Well, now, you're all engaged in what looks like a similar process, and I'm not looking at your screen, and you're not looking at mine. And even if I glanced over, it looks much the same. And so I'm not feeling. You're not watching me read, The Cat in the Hat, and you're reading Great Gatsby. It's more covert than that. And so you don't have to have those feelings of inadequacy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, the whole panel. The one thing I was thinking of is when we first started our conversation this evening, we talked about the need for teachers to ramp up their AI usage, right? Because I know a lot of times we talk to teachers who aren't necessarily using AI yet. So one thing I think that's really important is that it's wonderful that Dumroo AI gives teachers the ability to start from the beginning. If you haven't used AI before, we're there for you to be able to educate you on what is AI and how you can utilize it in the classroom. So that's a great starting point. If anyone's listening this evening or is interested in using AI and just feels very unfamiliarized with it, doesn't know where to begin, please contact us because we deal with a lot of teachers on that level. On the flip side, the other thing I'd like to say is sometimes we have to catch up to the kids because as we're all aware, most kids are using AI in some capacity. So the next, part of that equation is basically ramping up the teachers to meet the students halfway and being able to, for both parties to use it in the classroom. The next question is how can
Before we
AI
jump into the before we jump into the next question, I just want to put a phrase out there. I like phrases because it just helps us remember the the story of that entire topic, right? So I call it normalization through differentiation, because
Yeah.
everybody is getting differentiated plan now. Everybody getting their tailor-made content. So
Mhm.
it's not a stigmatism anymore. It's normalization. So there's, you know, I think so normalization through stigma, through differentiation. That's the
Yeah,
Equity.
principle now.
yeah, that's great. That is great. Let me go to the next question for the panel, and it is, how can AI powered tools like Dumroo AI support teacher workload?
Well, there are just a lot of things.
It
Lot of
takes, yeah, it takes a lot of time away
yeah.
from students, engaging with students when you have so much paperwork and so much planning to do. This platform does that stuff for you. You have to prompt, like I said earlier. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know your students. You got to know what your plans are.
Yeah.
But just in special education, you can do an IE. This thing took 15 hours away from 20 hours that it takes to do a triennial. That was that's huge. That adds 15 hours to either doing what I want to do after school, or not working after school, or it adds more time to engage with students in the classroom.
And I think
Correct.
that, there are a few different things, and I mean, we have 12 micro apps, right? And we said teachers to use one or two at a time. But if you really use all of them, it can be really really efficient. It's not only going to save time, but it's also going to improve the quality of learning as well. Uh, you know, the lesson planning, the assessments, the grading part, Johnny. If you have 30 students and you have to, grade them, like, and if it's an ELA, you have to review it, use a rubric to basically give them feedback. With in our platform, the moment a student submits whatever work they're working on, is it assignments, if it's assessment, quizzes, projects, in 3 minutes, that is already graded by AI. And then it goes to teacher, because teachers still have to approve it. It's not like, again, they did not publish it. Control is in teacher's hand, but the labor work is done already. Now they can review it and make changes to it, and then publish that, so that 15-20 hours of work is reduced into matter of less than an hour of work. So there, I think it's just the beginning, right? The knowing for special ed, Johnny, my question to you is, how much time is spent in generating those reports about a student, like those quarterly reports? It's so much of data, so much of writing, and you need to know the student. You need to quote all the instances. And if there's a platform that has all that data, right, and has your input that you are inputting in the system throughout your journey, and it creates that report for you in half an hour, how much that saves, like how much time does it save for you?
Uh, I can't even tell you how much, a ton of time. Okay, but let me tell you, there's an important thing that we're going to talk about here. I think that, and Lisa, I think this is happening. There's a lot of special ed teachers that aren't looking at the data. They're not doing it because they don't want to, what they say, waste their time. Okay, now really, that's no waste of time when you're evaluating your students to make them, to best support them. But what this does is this takes away that fear from these teachers. Hey, I was just talking to one today who's having a hard time writing progress reports. And I said, hey, check this out. Guess what's coming? And she said, well, what's coming? Because I don't have much time and I want to take my kid to this concert. And I said, well, take your kid to the concert. Because what's coming is a platform, AI platform that gets all the data and drives it right into the documents that we're creating. So you don't have to sit there and go through 36 pages on your IEP. A lot of that data is going to be driven right into where it needs to go. And a lot of that data is going to help to make smart goals. So you don't have to sit there and spend time, coming up with them. Now, don't get me wrong. Special ed teachers need to know their goals and need to be smart about them. But this platform gives special education teachers a chance to lessen the amount of this mountains of paperwork that either drive them out of education, drive them to not do their job appropriately. And there's a lot of that going on. Okay. But this platform gives special educations teachers the ability to actually really best support their students. Because I've been hearing best support for a lot of years. And I just tell you, I haven't seen it overall. But this platform is gonna provide everybody, an opportunity to do things alike and to not waste their time.
As an admin, I find it's exceedingly difficult to get a good SPED candidate, and even when you hire them, they often burn out more quickly or become disillusioned more quickly than a gen ed teacher. And I mentioned earlier that it's about the people work, not the paperwork for me. Well, if anybody goes into education with a heart of gold, it's a special education teacher. These are the people who want to do the people work, capital P people work, and they are the people buried under a mountain of paperwork. Nobody goes into special education in K-12 longing to do the forms that the state and the feds require. No one. And in fact, that's something that really acts as a deterrent. And so when we can, when we can abdicate that to something else, a computer, and that allows us to be with the people so that we can make good decisions. And when we have IEP meetings, we do have, insightful things to say and insightful recommendations to make. That's everything, because, and Johnny, I'm sure would tell you that, I can hear it in his voice, they're there to help kids. They're not there to sit there for 27 hours and fill out the forms. One other thing I want to say really quickly, Alok, you talked about grading and assessment, that end of it. I want to go even ahead of that and say, I don't think most teachers think enough about the challenge of writing good questions. It is difficult to write a good question. And some people sit down and they crank out 20 questions and they think they're fine. It's kind of one of those things that the older I've gotten, the more I realize I'm not very good at it. When I was 20, I thought I was great. Now that I'm 50, I know that I'm terrible because I know enough to know I'm terrible. It's hard to write a good question. It's hard to write a question that will mine the information that you're seeking. And I spend a lot of time writing questions. It's become kind of an obsession of mine. Because I want good questions, and I want kids to not give me output that's not going to move the needle at all or help me understand where they're at. And so having a companion in asking the questions for the assessment, and then the back end of the computer doing the assessing, and then I'm looking at that feedback for that student and then adjusting instruction. But question construction is a bugger if you do it right. You can do a terrible job and crank something out in 5 minutes, but if you're going to do it well, it actually is pretty painful.
And I think that this contextual engagement is what AI is really good at. Right. That's where you can ask for just an idea or something that you want to capture. And until before AI, it was not possible because computer programs were like binary, right? It's just a workflow. It is like predefined template, predefined everything. And that's how they used to like give you, even if you thought that it's adaptive, it's not really adaptive. It's just following a flow chart, a workflow, right? But with AI, there is no workflow. Every time you ask, engage with the prompt, it's a new workflow based on what you asked for and what you asked before that. So this is truly the power of AI here. Lisa, what you asked, what you mentioned is a great example of that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Does anyone else in the panel want to respond to that particular question?
Yeah, just a little bit about there's so much in special education that this can help. There's so much. I could sit here for an hour and go on about how AI is going to best support page 1 through page 36 of an IEP, is how it's going to support differentiation. But let's think about this, you guys. Kids have been going home and they don't ask their parents for help because they may think their parents either don't know, they don't care, they don't have time, or whatever. This AI tutor gives parents an opportunity to learn themselves.
Mhm.
Sometimes they may have forgot something on how to teach fractions, and they're watching their kid in an AI driven tutoring program. They take part of it, and now they're back engaged, and they can help their kid. And talk about relationship. Parent and their parents, there's something that's been lost with the academic relationship. It puts tears in my eyes. This is the Italian in me. But I tell you what, the parents and the students are not engaging at home like I engaged with my parents. Hey, Dad, help me with this problem, will you? Hey, AI, help me with this problem, will you? And parents can engage themselves. Sorry about the tears and the allergies.
No, no, that's okay. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Johnny. Um, and we only have a few minutes this evening to wrap up this podcast, but always want to go ahead and let everyone know that we would really enjoy everyone to join us every week for our podcasts. And if you have any suggestions on podcasts in the future, any type of titles that you would like to see us have conversations about, please go to our website at Dumroo.ai. And in the top, you can reach out where it says contact, fill out the information, and go ahead and put podcast in the subject line. And we're happy to review that and work with you in terms of getting that particular podcast out. So, again, we are very grateful for everyone who has attended. Thank you so much for our panel. And Johnny, you are very welcome to join us again. Looking forward to next week. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out. So if there's anything else anyone wants to say, I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
just wanted
Amy.
to.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Sabra.
Johnny, go ahead.
No, I want to thank you, Amy. Lisa, it's been great meeting you. This is excellent, excellent connection and collaboration. And I look, Savia, thank you mostly. You guys are
Thank
doing a
you.
great job.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you. Thank you so very much, everyone. And I feel like I'm blessed to be in this podcast because it makes me learn so much by getting into a discussion and listening to you guys. We have experienced teachers, principal, and Johnny, you have like so much of experience. It's such a great opportunity for us to be on this podcast and to learn from you. So that's wonderful. Thank you
We
so much,
learn from each
everyone.
other. We learn from each other, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that more than anything in the world. Thank you guys very much.
And
Thank you.
I want to echo Sabia as well, because I think that um, it, we are. I keep on saying this thing, but we are on a journey with AI, and it's just the beginning, and we're gonna evolve. We're gonna go through you know a lot of evolution process for next couple of years as we embark on this journey. And I think that listening to industry experts like Lisa and Johnny um, is really uh, makes me grateful that I'm able to like learn from you guys and able to like bring that knowledge into the the platform evolution process. So it's really good to have you guys on board with us. And your advice, your guidance is very much appreciated. And I really want to call out to all the teachers out there. This is the forum that was created for you, for educators, not for us. It is for you, because what's better way to spread awareness than having a discussion, an open discussion like that. So I really want our audience to spread the word, bring in other teachers, ask questions, engage with us, because again, this is less for us but more for you guys, and that's the journey we are on, to spread the awareness on how AI can help and how AI should evolve. So thank you everyone for joining us on this podcast today.
Yes, have a good night.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you at the next podcast. Bye, you
See
guys.
you.
Bye
See you
bye.
next
Thank
time.
you.